What's that? Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, I got.
Oh, it's 4
Okay.
o'clock.
I got. All right. I have 4 o'clock. Go ahead and call the roll.
Gleiser. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Erie.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
O'Neill.
Here.
Bostonellis.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Okay. Before we start, we're going to have Jeff Hansen go ahead and make some comments about how we're going to organize and structure this meeting today.
Sure. Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. Just for the commission's sake, the procedures for today's meeting, we have staff present to make the presentations for the 3 items that we have. We have 3 commission members that have joined us via teleconference. That is Michelle Bostonellis, Ryan Ross, and Susan Stewart, who have all called in via telephone. We have them available through conference call. We also have the petitioner and a hotline available for citizens to call in. I will be manning that phone and sending those phone calls over to Stephen, who will then bring up those phone calls as needed throughout the meeting. I would ask, as we hear the items, you hear the presentation from staff, we hear from the petitioner, and we hear from any concerned citizens, either in support or opposition. Prior to your vote after executive session, I would ask that you would wait 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes before you vote because of the delay in the video. We are currently broadcasted on YouTube as well as channel 56 on cable Sparklight TV. And we have noticed there is a delay, so we'd like to give an opportunity for any citizens to call in prior to your vote. Any questions?
I think the only question that I was going to have, and it just slipped my, sorry, just totally slipped my mind. I'm sure I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Oh, are we going to be doing a verbal roll call for all votes today?
Yes, all
Okay.
votes will be based on voice calls.
Okay, all right. Okay, it is now 4 p.m. and time to begin the regular meeting of the City Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm Jason Gary, Chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the members of the commission are Ryan Ross, Vice Chair, Michelle Bostonellos, Susan Stewart, Cindy O'Neill, Robert Anderson, Andrew Gleiser, and from the staff, Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager, Brent Nelson, Senior Planner, Chris Madsen, Senior Planner, Ron Cuny, Zoning Enforcement Officer, Stephen Postolka, City Attorney, and Larissa Carroll, Administrative Secretary. Until further notice, no in-person public attendance will be permitted at Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. However, we do have a telephone number available for you if you want to provide a comment on an agenda item. That phone number is 712-224-4996. We thank you for listening to this meeting to give us your ideas and added information as we help formulate our recommendations. These items will go to City Council for actions on April 6, 2020 at 4 p.m. Our procedure is such that I'll introduce an item. Then the staff will make a report. The petitioner or his agent will then be allowed to make a presentation, followed by all those in favor of the petition, then followed by all those opposed to the petition, and finally a rebuttal by the petitioner. After the public hearing portion on an item, we will then go into executive session, at which time we will formulate our recommendation. At that time, no further public input is allowed, but you're invited to remain and continue to listen if you so desire. When you wish to speak, please call 712-224-4996. All callers shall state their name and address for the record, and then they can provide their comment. All calls will be limited to 3 minutes so that everyone may have a chance to speak. Before we begin tonight's meeting, will any of the commissioners be abstaining on anything on tonight's agenda? Go ahead, can you state which one you're going to be abstaining on?
The one on Fremar Drive.
Okay. Any other commissioners going to be abstaining on any item? At this point, we'll begin our meeting for this evening. The first agenda is agenda item 2020-0020, requested rezoning of the property located at lots 7 and 8 and 22 through 26 of Country Club View, second filing from NC2 to NC3. Staff report.
Thank you. We'll be presenting items 2020-0020 and 2020-00-21 together, but they will take separate votes.
Okay.
But the first item is the requested rezoning of portions of the 4200 block of Fremar Drive, shown here on green on the map. A little bit more of a description would be lots 7, 8, and 22 through 26. The petitioner is looking to do attached single-family units on the site. The second item is the final plat or replat of Country Club View. For those lots, they are proposing to do 1 3-unit attached on the north side on these lots here, and then 2-unit attached on the remainder of the lots. And again, just a image of the final plat that has been submitted. Give a brief history on the properties. In November of 1997, the final plat of Country Club View was approved. This would be for the entire area of Fremar, what is now Fremar Drive, as well as the apartments that front off of Outer Drive. On June 11th of 2012, a preliminary plat and rezoning was approved for all of that, essentially platted Fremar Drive and the original lot layout of the cul-de-sac. On October 14th, the final plat was approved for Country Club View 2nd. That was the entirety of Fremar Drive and Country Club View. June 6th of 2016, a rezoning final plat was approved. That was for Country Club View 3rd. That essentially was what is currently zone NC3. That was rezoned for the single-family attached units that are being built, or many that have been built currently. So just a view, this would be looking towards the southwest on Fremar Drive, generally towards the lots on the south that are being proposed for rezoning and final platting. And then looking towards the northwest on Fremar Drive, again, the lots that are being requested to be changed. The NC2 zoning would allow for single family and some single family attached. The rezoning would allow for up to 4 units attached. Again, they are proposing 3 units on the one lot and bringing in the rezoning to be in conformity on the remainder of the lots. So with that, city staff do recommend approval. Open up to any questions.
Now is the time for commission member questions of staff.
Jason?
Yeah.
This is Susan Stewart.
Yes.
I've just read the objections to this, and I think I need to abstain as well on this matter. I'm sorry I didn't say that earlier.
Okay. All right. Susan is abstaining on both items.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Other questions for city staff?
I guess I have. So the NC2 is what they're currently, which is single-family home, right?
It would allow for twin homes, so the attached units with the property line down the middle, it does allow for that currently. So that could be done today, but the 3 units plus is where the rezoning is
For
required.
the NC3.
Correct. And their platting that they're showing, again, is only for the 1 3-unit here, but the remainder are 2 units attached. They are requesting rezoning on all of those.
Most of them, a lot of them up there now. 2. No. Okay, thank you.
Correct, yeah, I believe it's just the 2, the 1 3-unit, and
Why would we rezone the
Oh, bring. You're gonna definitely need to bring the mic down. So yeah.
Why would we rezone the south side of the street if they're just planning on putting duplexes?
it would allow for the use in the future. They likely would have to replat again to be able to fit those units into their lot configuration, but it would allow for that.
Other questions for city staff? Seeing none, now's the time for the meeting where we'll have the petitioner. If the petitioner wants to make a statement, they're welcome to do so.
All right, petitioner, you are on the air if you want to give your name and address.
Brad Cummings, Orchard, Nebraska.
Could you say that address one more time?
It's Orchard, Nebraska.
Street address.
51229 872 Road, Orchard, Nebraska.
Got it. Okay, if you want to add any comments, feel free.
Okay. The triplex that we're proposing sits right next to an existing triplex. It's just in continuation of the development that we we did 2 years ago. Everything on the south side will be duplexes, and that's really the only issue is the triplex. It's really all I have to say.
Is there only going to be one triplex? Is that what you're stating?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for the petitioner at all? Okay, we don't seem to have any more questions for the petitioner. Thanks for your comments. He can stay on the line, I think, right, and hold until if there's comments that come in and he needs to rebut those, he can stay on the line for those. At this point in time, we will now open up the comment period for anybody who wants to call and speak in favor of this item. Or at this moment in time, we'll also, if you want to speak in opposition, either or, you can go ahead and call into the number 712-224-4996. We'll be happy to answer questions or take opposing or supporting views. Okay, we've waited about a minute, so we give plenty of opportunity for individuals to call on this item, and no one has called to either speak in favor or against or to ask questions. So given that, we don't need any rebuttal from the petitioner based on the public comment period. At this point in time, we will go into executive session, and we would need to have either discussion or a motion. And just as a reminder, we do have two separate agenda items that will need to be voted on separately, but does anybody have any comments or a motion on either one of these?
I'll move the item 2020-0020, the requested rezoning of property located at 4200 block of Fremar Drive from NC2 to NC3.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Stewart,
Abstain.
Boston Ellis,
Yes.
Geary,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Anderson,
Abstain.
Gleiser.
Yes.
That item passes on a 5-0-2 vote, so that recommendation will be made to council that we recommend that the property be rezoned. Now, we need a motion or discussion on agenda item 2020-0021, the final plat.
I will move the final plat of Country Club View, fourth filing.
Second.
Stewart,
Abstain.
Boston Ellis,
Yes.
Geary,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Anderson,
Abstain.
Gleiser,
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
And that item passes on a 5-0-2 vote. We'll go to council to recommend that we approve that they approve that plat. And then I don't know if the petitioner is still online. If they are, I don't think we have anything else for them. So thank you for your input and being patient with us. Next item on the agenda is agenda item 2020-0022, requested vacation of 2nd Street, Walnut Avenue, 3rd Street, and the north-south alleys adjacent to 130 Hidden View Drive and 120 and 210 Cornelia Street. Staff report.
Thank you. Same as the last two items, there are two different requests here that I'll present together. 2020-0022 and 2020-0023, vacation and rezoning. Again, they will require two different motions for approval. But the first part of the Hidden View Acres, the petitioner is looking to expand the townhouse apartment complex that's on the site. They are looking to expand with an additional 52 units and are requesting vacation of a number of right-of-ways in the area bounded by First Street on the south, 3rd Street on the north, South Cornelia Street that's platted on the west, and the Hidden View Acres development on the east. The second item is rezoning. The property is currently zoned NC4 and NC5. The current Hidden View Acres area was rezoned to NC5, or actually RG20 at the time under the 1976 zoning ordinance, is NC5 in the 2015 ordinance, and the lots to the west are zoned NC4. We are asking, or the petitioner is asking for those to be rezoned to urban residential. That would allow for townhouse apartment uses. The property would be operated much like a apartment complex, but doesn't meet our definition of apartment. It doesn't have a common hallway, but we would view it as one apartment complex on the site under the urban residential zoning district. If these items are approved, properties acquired, the property owner would then come forward with a new final plat that would create a one-lot property. Again, that would be operated much the same way as an apartment complex. Petitioner did submit a preliminary site plan. This has not been through any review process yet. It was just submitted as a concept to show what his plan is. This would still have to go through the staff level review, development review committee for approval. Design standards would apply all those items. That has not been reviewed at this point. This actions today would simply be to allow the development to occur. But again, the current Hidden View Drive apartment development located here, 16 units, that would extend that street to the north with the units off of it, and also go to the west and would actually loop the development back down to First Street. That would actually also include moving the retention pond from its current location here to the west. So just a couple views, one looking north through the Hidden View Drive subdivision, again to the north where that would extend. This is essentially looking from a point up to the north of the subdivision towards the west. Down one of the right-of-ways would be located generally in this area, and then more development would occur on the flat portion here to the west of where Hidden View Drive would currently, or where it would extend. This is looking towards the southwest. Again, the existing development, the retention pond, can be seen in its current location. This is where the street loop generally would come back south, so that would have to be moved again. But kind of giving you an idea of where the development is located, where that would extend. This is looking to the north, the north-south alley that is being requested. One addition that staff did add to the request: the petitioner does not own these two properties here on the south, but we did add that alley vacation. Typically, we don't want to create dead-end alleys, so we did add that portion. We have been contacted by that property owner. They do have interest in purchasing that alley. Since they own on either side, this would actually make their property contiguous. So we did receive comment from them in favor of that request. That would be looking north on that alley as it currently sits. We did receive a comment from city engineering. They had a concern about 3rd Street on the north end of the development being vacated. Their concern was that they wanted to extend either the right-of-way or utilities if the properties to the east were to develop. When we did go on the site, we did notice a fairly significant grade change. And this is maybe a little bit hard to see, but between these two yellow points on the 3rd Street right-of-way is about a 70-foot elevation change over about 200 feet. It's about a 25% change in elevation. City street requirements are 10% grade max, so it would exceed that. But city engineering are more interested in this, a little bit more of a zoomed out topography and utility map. So this is the development here in green. 3rd Street would be located right here. It does have city water to this point. It ends at a hydrant. But engineering's concern is if these properties, these 4 properties here are owned by the same property owner, if and when this development occurs, being able to loop utilities into that, they had concerns. That's why they want to leave 3rd Street as right-of-way. 5th Street to the north, 7th Street, they all do also have utilities that could be able to connect, but city engineering did want to have 3rd Street remain right-of-way. We did receive a phone call from the property owner on the north side. They were in favor of vacating 3rd Street as long as they could purchase their half. So we did receive that comment, but city engineering did want to have 3rd Street removed from the request.
Did you,
This is just a view looking from, it should be 3rd Street, looking east on Paxton. So that city staff would open up to any questions.
sorry, did you tell the petitioner at the time that engineering recommended not vacating 3rd Street? So they're aware of it?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
On the phone call explaining how the meeting was going to go, and the staff report was sent to the petitioner.
Okay, were they okay with that? Yes.
I believe so. The petitioner would have to answer if they would
Okay.
be fine
I didn't know
having
when
that
you
report.
discussed it with them if they said anything or not. Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
Judging from the site plan, again, this is preliminary, it's not final. It does not appear that they need 3rd Street as part of the development. They may have wanted it for setback purposes, but just judging from, and again, it's hard to judge when you only have a preliminary, do you need it at this point or not?
Yeah.
But it does not appear that they do.
Okay.
We can reduce or what's being vacated. We can't add to it, so if you make the motion to remove 3rd Street, we can proceed.
I didn't know when you discussed
Okay.
it with them if they said anything.
Other questions for staff on this one? I have a few, but. Okay, couple questions for me. First one is, so the current development is zoned NC5, if you want to go back to the zoning map. So it's currently zoned NC5, and we're going to change it. They're requesting to go to urban residential, correct?
Correct.
If that development that currently exists in place were to have come forward today, would we have wanted it to be NC5 or urban residential?
I would say urban residential. The problem with the NC zones and apartment, it's why we've been rezoning a lot of the apartment complexes have been coming forward, is there's limitations on density in the neighborhood conservation, because they were intended to be essentially what is already in the neighborhood and not increase. So there is a 4-unit maximum in the NC zone. That's why they're actually 4 separate parcels right now.
Okay.
We don't want to do more of that with a private road. We want this to be treated as an apartment complex. It's all private, no city utilities, no issue with street frontage on the lots that don't have it. So that's why we're requesting the rezoning.
Okay, but the rezoning isn't for that complex included, right?
Rezoning includes that piece.
Oh, it does include.
Everything in green on this map would be rezoned to urban residential.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we were leaving that section alone as like a legal non-conforming use, and then having UR surrounding it.
Because he'd be extending up into this portion as well that's already zoned that and part of the original development. Yeah, we wanted to grab all of it.
Okay. The next question I had, so that kind of takes care of the zoning question, the main zoning question I had. The second question I had is about 3rd Street. The question I have, though, is you've got the parcels to the north there that if it were vacated, would they still have access? I mean, I don't see it, based on the grade, I have a tough time imagining it being developed, but there is a question of access that somebody needs to be able to access that property, whether they go back there for whatever reason, for hunting or whatever the case may be, or they need to sell it and they want, somebody needs to go on that property. If 3rd Street is vacated, which is right now public right of way, would it create an access issue at all to those properties to the north?
It could, if they wanted to develop these individual platted lots alone. This petitioner does own other property to the north and does come further west to Paxton Street.
Okay.
So they would have frontage to their entire parcel, but they did also have the interest in purchasing half, which would still give them access 30 feet of frontage to 3rd Street.
But if they either decide that it's too costly, or they couldn't, they change their minds, and the petitioner buys up that whole portion, that little northern piece right there would have no public access unless there was an easement granted, correct?
Correct, yeah, either from the petitioner or that the property owner essentially would grant across his own property if he were to sell that off.
And then the next question I had was was there any discussion with the petitioner after the engineering, after engineering made the comments about utilities being extended to the east? Was there any discussion with the petitioner about maybe offering an easement to the city to be able to run water through there to service that? Is that something that they were open to, or there was a discussion about it all?
Not to my understanding.
Okay, all right. Did engineering make those comments kind of late in the process? Were they at the tail end of the?
Engineering comments, yeah, they came in with pre-agenda.
Okay.
They came in fairly early.
Oh, okay, all right.
So are you thinking an easement versus not, versus vacating the street? Is that what you're?
No, well, I'm just saying, I'm kind of looking at like I'm trying to think about it. If we didn't vacate it, or if we did vacate it, how does the person to the north get access guaranteed? Because they kind of need that. City policy is that we don't cut off access to parcels.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second issue is that if we did vacate it, could we do easements as a way to solve that? Now, if the owner to the north buys his half, then he's fine. But if he doesn't, then he's not fine. Or future landowners of that location aren't fine. And then the easement could potentially solve the problem for the city, even if both private owners buy that third street. I'm just kind of gaming out scenarios. I didn't know which ones had been talked about or which ones hadn't been talked about.
But as of right now, we're not vacating, correct?
Well, they're recommending that we don't. We haven't decided.
Well,
yet.
it's part of the request.
Part of the request.
Right.
All right, it's part of the request, and so if we don't vacate it, if we decide not to vacate it, then we're doing something that the petitioner.
Kind of hard to see here on this map since I zoomed out so far, but my understanding is where the water line ends, essentially the hill comes up and then goes right back down onto the property to the east.
Yeah.
So as far as driven way or putting in a road could be very difficult, but utilities would be actually very easy to push through here since the topography wouldn't really matter. Generally, we wouldn't want to vacate if we still wanted to keep an interest in the property.
I guess we could see what the petitioner has to say.
Yeah.
They might be fine with it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're aware of it.
Yeah. Other questions for staff? Seeing none, we have the petitioner on the line, and do they want to make a statement, maybe answer some of the questions that we've been asking along the way?
Yeah, petitioner, you're on the air if you want to state your name and address.
Yes, Sam Moose, 3225 46th Street in City, Iowa.
And you can go ahead and respond to some of these concerns, or if you have a statement.
Simply, I would say, I mean, if it's going to be an issue with city, the engineering, it's not going to be a big issue for me not to vacate 3rd Street. So I would say, just to avoid any concerns or problems, we would just take that off of the petition and leave that as it is.
Sam, do you have any other comments about the development or the rezoning or platting in general? Or the vacation and the rezoning?
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Did you have any other comments or for us regarding the rezoning or the vacation besides the comment about 3rd Street?
The rezoning, the way I understand it, I mean, I didn't mind how it was before. It worked. They said it just makes a better, cleaner whole package to have it all be one, which makes sense to me. It is kind of a unique thing because these aren't apartments. You know, they're basically, you know, each have their own front door, each owner has their own garage and driveway. So it's not an apartment, but yet they fall and they'll always be rentals. They're never going to be sold. So it makes sense to have it zoned as an apartment complex, even though they don't technically meet the criteria of an apartment.
Okay.
I have a question. Sam, I have a question for you. When you submitted this request, is there a reason that you wanted 3rd Street vacated? I'm just trying to understand that.
it would have just gave us more room to, to be there. It was just, it didn't look like there, I didn't see any reason that it would have ever been needed. So it would have just gave more room to, that is a elevation change back there, that last, I guess probably 100 feet or so. That would have gave more room to kind of make that elevation more gradually, but we can make it work without it.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for the petitioner? Okay, seeing no more questions for the petitioner from members of the commission, now we're going to go ahead and open it up to the public to speak. If you have any, if you want to speak either in favor or in opposition or have some questions regarding this, you're now free to call 712-224-4996 and to speak to the commission about anything that you have concerns about.
Long-winded. And how long is this going to go on? Weeks? Months? I know. That's scary. Since he thinks he's a doctor. And the doctors are all freaking out. You're still talking on that.
Are you on the Wi-Fi or are you on your data? Okay, it looks as though we do not have anybody who's calling in to speak either for or against or ask questions. So given that, we thank you, the petitioner, for their feedback on the questions we have, and we will now go into executive session. So do we have motion or discussion on these items?
Just a little bit of discussion. As long as the petitioner is okay with excluding Third Street and, by the recommendation of the engineering department, I will be in favor of removing that out of the motion or out of the vacation.
So, yeah. So you'll need, when somebody makes a motion, they'll need to make a motion and then just simply state that Third Street will be left unvacated.
And just to be clear, as part of your motion, I would say also as part of the intersection as well, just to ensure that there's no confusion. That's all of Third Street, including this intersection.
Including the
South Glass.
Okay. Okay.
Any more discussion or a motion?
I'll make a motion for the vacation of 2nd Street, Walnut Avenue, but not the vacation of 3rd Street and the intersection.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Boston Ellis,
Yes.
Geary,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Gleiser,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Stewart.
Aye.
Okay, next, we need another discussion or a motion on the next item on the agenda, 0023, the rezoning.
I will move the item to rezone 100 through 140 Hidden View Drive and 120 and 210 Cornelia Street.
I'll second.
Geary,
Aye.
Ross,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Gleiser,
Aye.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Stewart,
Aye.
Boston Ellis.
Yes.
Okay, both those items pass on a 7-0 vote, so the vacation and the rezoning will go to council. Next item on the agenda is agenda item 2020-0024, requested vacation of 33rd Street adjacent to 3215 and 3221 Talbot Road. Staff report.
Thank you. Requested vacation of 33rd Street, located here in green on the map, west of Talbot Road. Talbot is the north-south road here. The petitioner is the property owner to the south at 3215 Talbot Road. 33rd Street is a 28-foot wide platted road. The plat was approved in 1888. Obviously has not been improved upon since then. However, at that point, apparently it was assumed that the north half of 33rd Street was being dedicated as part of this plat, that the south half, typically right-of-way is 60 feet wide. In this case, it would have been a little bit narrower with 28 feet at half, but the southern half would have been dedicated if this property had ever developed. Obviously, since 1888, it has not, as well as the northern property. So the petitioner is requesting vacating that portion. We did receive one phone call from the property owner to the north. They do own essentially all of the property here to the north, including these two little smaller lots, part of that 1888 final plat. They are currently in the process of selling that. They did not state that they were opposed, but that they would give the new owners that opportunity to purchase half. So they were in favor as long as the new owners would have that opportunity as well. So with that, city staff would open up to any questions. I guess just a quick view of looking west from Talbot Road. Essentially, 33rd Street would be located in this area just north of the tree line here. I believe that is actually a stake that someone went out and found property lines, probably for the sale of the property to the north. So that generally that'd be about the line where the right-of-way is located. That open up to any questions?
Questions for staff? Seeing none, do we have the petitioner on the line? Do they want to make a statement on this item?
All right, petitioner, you are on the air. If you want to start by giving your name and address.
Todd Harlow, 3215 Talbot Road, Sioux City, Iowa. I think that blue stake that you're talking about, we are having water main or water lines ran down the Talbot Road, so I believe that's what it is. I don't think anybody's been out to survey the property, but that's just me. I just want to add more property to my property, so that's why I'm requesting it be vacated.
Any questions for the petitioner?
No.
Okay, seeing we don't have any questions for you, so now we'll go to the public comment period. So if you want to call and either speak in favor or in opposition or ask a question on this item, now is the time. That phone number is 712-224-4996, and we'll give a little bit of a delay to allow anybody to call, anybody that wants to call to do so.
What's that?
Yeah, it's on.
I wonder if there's a delay on.
Okay, it does not appear as though we've given a good delay here. It doesn't appear as though we've got anybody who wants to call in on this item. So we want to thank the petitioner for calling in and letting us and sharing your information with us. We'll now move to the executive session of our meeting. And do we have discussion or motion by any of the board members?
I will move the item for the vacation of 33rd Street.
If we stay consistent, I'll second.
I was going to say,
I know you guys are making minutes.
I don't, you're somebody designated you the motioner today.
Yes.
Okay, Ross,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Weiser,
Aye.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Stewart,
Aye.
Boston Ellis,
Yes.
Gary.
Yes. So that item passes on a 7-0 vote, and that will go to the City Council on April 6th for their final action. Okay, next item on the agenda is a report by the chair regarding planning and zoning items at the City Council meeting. I did not attend. I wasn't at the last P&Z meeting, and I didn't attend the council meeting, so I don't know what happened, but staff do.
The Wilson plat was on the agenda that was deleted. I believe their intent is to come back with a new plat layout of that one over on.
Is that the one off of Military?
Yeah.
That was delayed so many times? Okay.
And then the vacation of the alleyways adjacent to the Benson building was first reading approved on that item as well.
Oh, okay.
Was there a reason it was only first? And
because of the citizen participation issue, they wanted to have more ability for anyone, if they had comments, to be able to get.
Okay. Okay. Nick, anything else from the City Council meeting That was it? Okay, other items to be brought forward by the commissioner or staff. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? If not, we'll go to the approval of minutes from March 10th, 2020.
Well, heck, I'll move it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining? Geary?
Oh, yeah, abstain, sorry. Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome.
I miss so
I heard you say
irregularly.
aye, and I was like,
Yeah. No, I miss so irregularly. It's like I even forgot I missed. So, okay. With that, we'll go ahead and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen Ryan Ross so quiet.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay. With that, we're adjourned.
Yes, Ryan, I think this is a record.
He's quarantined his opinion for
Yeah, I
the
guess.
meeting.